You all remember the Capitol 6 riot? It happened actually on my birthday. I came home from work early. I was like, man, it's gonna be. I hung out with my family. I started up stream and I was like, this is gonna be amazing, right? And then I get home, I sit down, and then my phone blows up because Trump supporters have breached the Capitol building and they are on their way to murder politicians in the building. And a wild thing, this is going to go down in history. It's like only if they actually were able to get their hands on any of the politicians in the building, it would have been like it would be up there with like 9/11 sort of crazy breaches that no one would have expected to happen in the United States of America, right? But sadly, it just happened, right? And people actually died. And actually, they caught a streamer who was actually there. But that's a talk for another segment. When the Capitol riot happened, instantly the right was trying to spin it, because the right can say whatever they want about the left and about society in general, but when it actually comes to implementing the policies that they want and doing the things that they actually believe, that's when it starts to become like, ooh, that's a bad look. For me personally, if I got what I wanted, if people were doing things that aligned with my political ideas, I wouldn't start to shirk from it. But the Republicans do, because they know that their views are undefensible and abhorrent, but they hold them anyways for personal gain. One of the really big things that happened is that they tried to spin it and tried to say that, oh, it was like Antifa. It was great. It was like insurgents. They're trying to make Donald Trump look bad. Nothing crazy really happened. Let's not really call it an insurrection, guys. I mean, come on now. Let's be a little bit more reasonable with our language, even though they killed multiple police officers and someone actually had to be shot because they were busy trying to climb through a window to go beat the head in of some progressive politician who just didn't want to steal the election for Donald Trump. These problems in the Republican Party, they actually collapsed in on itself and then formed a ball of stupidity so dense it bends space and reality around it. And I'm not even being hyperbolic when I say that. It actually does. These Republicans don't live in the real world with us. They don't they experience the same things we do, but they process that reality in a way that that shows that their understanding of the world is so fundamentally flawed that there's nothing that you can really do with it besides just completely discredit it and try to de-radicalize at this point, because they are radicalized. And one of the biggest things to prove that is that Ipsos and Reuters came out with a poll the other day that showed that half of Republicans still believe false claims about the deadly Capitol riot. 3 months after a mob of Trump supporters stormed the Capitol to try to overturn his November election loss, half of Republicans believe the siege was largely nonviolent or was the handiwork of left-wing activists trying to make Trump look bad, a new Reuters Ipsos poll has found. 6 in 10 Republicans also believe the false claims put out by Trump that November's presidential election was stolen from him due to widespread voter fraud, and the same proportion of Republicans think he should run again in 2024, the poll showed. In a recent interview with Fox News, Trump said the rioters posed zero threat to prominent Republicans such as Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, have publicly doubted whether Trump supporters were behind the riot. One absolute loser. See, this guy, the thing is, even Kevin McCarthy, a House member, was running away from Trump supporters, trying to catch him on the phone with Trump himself. I'm not sure if you guys remember this. This all came to light during the impeachment trial that the House members put together to show the world like what Trump was actually up to. Fuck Ron Johnson, dude. Ron Johnson's an absolute goon. Hopefully he gets voted out actually, or he drops, one of the two. Kevin McCarthy said that he was running from Trump supporters who burst into the Capitol. He was running from them, and with his security guard on the phone with Donald Trump, asking him to get online, get on TV right now, and call them off because they are destroying the place, right? And you know what Donald Trump's response was? Verbatim, his response was, well, maybe they care more about the election than you. And then he hung up. And that was it. He didn't. Kevin McCarthy's life was in danger. They were saying hang Mike Pence outside of the state capitol. And this guy has the audacity to come on to Fox News and be like, hey, they didn't pose a single threat. Mike Pence was homeless. And he still actually may still be homeless because he cannot settle down in one place because he was running from Trump supporters looking for him, trying to make good on the promise of hang Mike Pence. And he says they pose no serious threat. Sure, buddy. Okay. 59% of all Americans say Trump bears some responsibility for the attack, but only 3 in 10 Republicans agree. 8 in 10 Democrats and 6 in 10 independents reject the false claims that the Capitol siege was mostly peaceful or staged by left-wing protesters. Holy shit. 3 in 10 Republicans say that Trump bears, it's not even all, it's just some responsibility. Like he did something to make this happen. 3 in 10. 3 in 10. 3. They're completely bought into their just phony idea that they are on the back foot. They're being oppressed. They're being silenced. They're being gaslit. They're being gaslit, you know? Oh, gaslighting. Oh, you say I'm gaslighting you. There you go again, making up words. You know how crazy you sound. And one researcher at the Southern Poverty Law Center said, this is our biggest danger, normalizing the behavior. I do think we're going to see more violence. Because when you get to this point where your side can do no wrong, through your eyes, you do not see a single thing wrong that your ideology can and is doing around the world. You have completely foregone any introspection. You have completely foregone any actual responsibility that you could hold yourself and your comrades to when it comes to the things that they do wrong. I mean, we saw this when Suspect Sushi, mind you, Suspect Sushi, the guy, what's his name? Like fucking Finley or something. What's his real name? He has like some goofy ass real name. This guy who got arrested, this used to be Twitch streamer who I debated and lots of people debated. Yeah, more like sus. Yeah, nice one. This guy, he went to the Capitol, broke into the Capitol, and he's now facing actual charges. So it's real, all right? These are real things that are happening in the world. We're going to see more violence because this guy, right? Once he got back, once everyone found out that he broke into the Capitol, you know what he did? He ran to the other conservatives' friends, and they were like, bro, it's gonna be okay. We're gonna make some calls for you, man. We're gonna make sure that you're all right, my dude. All right, this is so terrible that this is happening to you. Not that you personally were a part of a protest that turned into a massive riot that killed several people, maiming dozens more. That was started off from a lie for the specific purpose of undemocratically overturning the election results of an election that you didn't like the results from. That's it. That was the purpose why he was there, and his gang of goons that he brought there with him helped do the killing. So I don't know what you're trying to tell me. All right. But these people are completely deranged. The Capitol riot would not have happened if Donald Trump was not in office. Just by that fact alone, we know that he bears some responsibility for when it happened. He started these lies. He started these lies from the very beginning when he told people after he won the election, he told people not only did he win the election, he actually won the popular vote. The only reason why you don't see it is because 3 million illegal immigrants voted. That is, people brush that aside, but let's take that in for a moment. That is one of the most dangerous things that you could possibly say when it comes to a country and its election. That is one of the most dangerous things that you could possibly say. Because what are you actually saying? That these elections are illegitimate, they're fraudulent, they're not real, they cannot be respected. And when you don't respect these sorts of rulings, that means you don't respect the politicians in office, you don't respect the institution as a whole. And what do? Well, I mean, if it's all illegitimate, tear it down. Just tear that shit down, right? And the way they go about it is basically trying to delegitimize everything to the point where it's even, where it's all even, it's all easily bulldozed, so they can take power, create a power vacuum, and take power with their cute little fascist coup that they tried to do. And 60% of Republicans just ran on with it, and to try to pretend like it was a non-violent, super peaceful thing. Oh, all those things that you heard, oh, it was Antifa. Just still think about it. Imagine how cucked you have to be, right? To you, all right, you're Trump Chad Crusader, all right? You got your massive, you got your body armor on, okay? Yeah, you got your illegal gun that you snuck in just in case some Nancy Pelosi wants to get a little handsy, you know? I'm trained in like close quarters martial arts combat. I'll get you, all right? I'll tear you down. I'll have you know I got like 2 pieces of tape on my belt when I was in Taekwondo, and you won't even stand a match, bucko. All right? I'm like the Ra's al Ghul of fucking Washington D.C. I'm sorry, you don't stand a chance. Step to the side, mess with the best, or die like the rest. And there's only 2 choices. What can I say? So you go there, you think that you're just gonna get some cool pictures outside, but you know what? You guys are gonna bust down those doors. All right, that's the people's house, and the people are taking it back for Daddy Trump. They're taking it back. They're like little worker ants. They're gonna bring back the goodies for the queen. Their goal was to stop the certification of the election, and they were doing it. And you know what? Actually, they succeeded for 3 hours, but they succeeded. Technically, they made it happen for some point in time. But after that, you know what happens once you're done being so sick, and then your people go kill some Capitol Police officers after all summer talking about how much you love law and order. But once for a moment in time where the law is inconvenience to you, not only do you disregard the laws, you kill the people who are enforcing those laws. Really interesting that. Demagogues like Trump are good at one thing, and that's utilizing fear. One of the most crucial and important aspects to political engagement, which is weaponizing people's emotions. And one of the strongest ones are hate and fear. Those 2 things will take you so far. There are dozens of administrations, maybe even hundreds of administrations all across the world, all through time, that works off of only fear, and that's it. Fear of the other, fear of losing your place, fear of being pushed out, fear of being taken advantage of, fear of losing your country. All of these things, just pure fear, right? And it's all irrational as well. None of these things that they say are happening, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be right. It has to feel right, because this is all about emotion. That's all it really is at the end of the day. It's just fear and emotion. And now we have some pretty fundamental proof on this, because recently a study, the New York Times talked to a researcher who did a study on just about 300 people who were already captured by police and are being sentenced for the crimes that they committed during the Capitol riot. And it found that, and he went on the idea that economic anxiety is what led people there, right? Economic anxiety is what did it. We hear a lot of people talking about economic anxiety. I mean, one of the first times I heard people talking about economic anxiety leading to fascism was when people talk about, well, the big fascism. You know what I'm talking about? Nazi Germany, the big fascism. Adolf Hitler came in after World War I to a completely ruined German economy. They were just burning their francs. Is that what their money's called? Their donks, or whatever their money's called, to heat their houses, because the money actually meant nothing. And he came in and he was like, "We're gonna get you money. We're gonna just freaking socialism or whatever. It's gonna be great." Marx, yeah, whatever. Who cares? Francs are francs. Who cares? All right, they're all European. All right, they're all basically British. They're like mainland British people. You know, same difference. And economic anxiety is actually what Donald Trump tried to say that he ran on, and actually lots of people as well. From 2016 to 2019, lots of people were like, "Hey, you know, that's what was driving it." High school educated, middle class and poor whites or what's driving Donald Trump's rise to stardom, driving his approval rating, driving his political power. That's what it is, right? But wrong. You are wrong, and the study proves it. That fears of white people losing out permeate the Capitol rioters' towns, shows study finds. So it is not economic anxiety that leads people to feel this way. It's specifically about their racial group feeling like it's getting left behind. They feel like they're losing power and as strong as a voice in the country. So instead of acting like doing what a normal person would do, which is understand that other people deserve to have a seat at the table, they go full fast mode and go, oh yeah. So instead of letting people have a voice, we have to take all of the voice back with power. Most of the people who took part in the assault came from places, his polling and demographic data showed, that were awash in fears that the right of minorities and immigrants were crowding out the rights of white people in American politics and culture. So that's it, right? Oh, rights of minorities, rights of women, rights of immigrants, rights of these people and that people, but what about me? This idea is intrinsically selfish and intrinsically self-centered because it does not take into account other people's experience. It's me. What about me? Me, myself, and I, and the people who look like me. What do these people care about? And that's it. If Mr. Pape's initial conclusions hold true, they would suggest that the Capitol attack has historical echoes reaching back to before the Civil War. He said in an interview over the weekend. In a shorter term, he added, the study would appear to connect January 6th not only to the once fringe right-wing theory called Great Replacement, which holds that minorities and immigrants are seeking to take over the country, but also to the events like the far-right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017, where crowds of white men marched with torches chanting, "Jews will not replace us." The places where people come from inform their politics so heavily. There's a reason why we can trace back some places in the Deep South and to how they voted back then and how they voted today, and their voting patterns can correlate very strongly with which places, which towns held slaves and how many slaves. You're more likely to vote more Republican the more slaves that you had in your county back before the Civil War. The thing is, even though the Capitol riot didn't have as many out and just straight up racist, the Capitol riot didn't necessarily have the same sort of racial overtones that the Unite the Right rally did in Charlottesville. Even though it wasn't that, they all pulled from the same sorts of ideas. The Great Replacement idea, Jews will not replace us. These people, they didn't say it explicitly, but they don't want minorities to replace them in any way, shape, or form. Any marginalized groups to replace them. They can't have any of that. Let's read on a little bit more. If you look back in history, there has always been. Hang on. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. If you look back in history, there has always been a series of far-right extremist movements responding to new waves of immigration to the United States or to movements for civil rights by minority groups. You see a common pattern in the Capitol insurrectionists. They are mainly middle class to upper class whites who are worried that as social changes occur around them, they will see a decline in their status in the future. And that's true. I mean, if you hold all the economic power, all the political power, all the social power to break up that hegemony, other people are going to have power too. So by definition, your power will lessen. But it's not like white people will have no power in the future. And they're like, we don't want to end up like them. Like I didn't finish my thought earlier, but they say about how all of these minorities and marginalized groups don't have it bad. But then when it comes to the shoes on the other foot, okay, your power is going to decrease. They start screeching because they don't want to end up like them. They don't want to say it. They don't want to say it outright. But that's what they mean. When you get into a conversation with them, that's exactly what they mean. They don't want to end up like them. All right. They're like, oh my gosh. Oh, we're going to be oppressed. Oh my gosh. We're not going to be the hegemony. Well, I mean, welcome to the club, brother. Welcome to the club. I hope you like it. It's a fun place. It absolutely is. Ooh, baby. Counties with the most significant declines in the non-Hispanic white population are most likely to produce insurrectionists. This finding held true even when controlling for population size, distance to Washington, unemployment rate, or rural location. So yes, it has everything to do with this conception, this idea of whiteness. And we bring it all the way back, all right? That's what it is. Whiteness, all right? Donald Trump was the cancel culture president. He canceled everything he didn't like, from Nike to coffee machines to beans to anything he didn't like, canceled, all right? It's gone. We don't want it anymore. We cancel it. All right. He was the culture war president. He didn't talk about economics anymore. Once he got into the office, he absolutely didn't. That's not what he ran on. They don't care about it anymore. I'm sorry. They absolutely don't. It was an afterthought. What Donald Trump did, what Donald Trump stand for, and that's why Republicans love him the most, is because he is the culture war president. He is not the legislation president. He is not the get things done president. He is not the effective president. He is the culture war president. He feeds into every single fear that they had, that they're being replaced, that they're being overrun, that they're being destroyed, our country is being taken from us. He played on completely and solely white identity politics. You ask people what they like about Donald Trump, and they don't bring up like, I really love his tax plans. Him cutting the corporate tax rate is something that I really hold dear to my heart. They're like, big dick Trump dunking on SJWs isn't for all 4 years of his presidency, hecking on them freaking stinky minorities trying to crawl into our great shining city of a country. That's what they talk about when they talk about Donald Trump. Okay, that's what they do. They talk about how epic and pog it was when he sent a mean tweet to a filthy lefty. That's what they talk about. That's what it means to them. Not any like not any like real economic policy. It's like the wall, which was a meme. The Muslim ban, which was fucking racist. And then just him like dunking on SJWs. It's just like, it's them actually watching a 2015 SJW destroyed by Facts and Logic compilation episode 455. But they get it in a presidential form. It's live and it's going on and it's strong. Trump didn't have any real policies at all. Honestly, he really didn't. He really did. I mean, honestly, he didn't really have any actual economic policy. I mean, like what? Cut taxes? Damn, that's fucking crazy, dude. What else? Obamacare, repeal and replace. He got the repeal thing down. They never came up with an actual replacement plan. Like that, like Republicans had 10 years to think of a replacement for Obamacare, and they just sat there twiddling their dick. They didn't do anything. They didn't care. They didn't have any real policy. It was just a thing to run on. I mean, come on, let's be completely honest. It was just a thing to run on. That's it. That's it. And here's one of the scary parts, right? Only about 10% of those charged were members of established far-right organizations like the Oath Keepers or a militia, or the Oath Keepers militia, or the nationalist extremist group, the Proud Boys. But unlike the other analysts who have made similar findings, Pape has argued that the remaining 90% of the ordinary rioters are still part of a congealing mass movement on the right that shown itself willing to put violence at its core. I think that's 100. That seems like a very accurate finding to me personally. They're ready to put violence at the core of their movement. It's no longer can it be on the fringes. They will do violence. They will kill you. Them online will joke about killing you. And once they're done joking about killing you, they'll then deny that they did anything wrong. And that'll be the complete cycle. That will be the complete meme cycle, because they don't want to take any responsibility for the things that they do wrong while continuing down the path of absolute depravity. This pulls back to white identity politics at the end of the day. Donald Trump played into white identity politics. The right, all they do is play into white identity politics. Fox News made a business model of white identity politics, is just playing on fears white people have that some white people have that Dem Browns are coming in and they're going to make the country worse, and it's going to be big sad It's gonna be so incredibly big sad for us when we when I can easily see like some random brown person walking in my neighborhood and call the police on them and get them killed. Oh no, the power, it's been taken from me. Yikes. And I mean, you guys remember those those Donald Trump boat rallies? You remember that? Or anytime Donald Trump's talked about, or anybody who has like Donald Trump memorabilia, it's always on like a freaking massive like lifted Ford F-150 with 10 flags on each pole, and they just like rev their engine and then like try and do donuts while they're going mudding. Like, wee, yeah, Donald Trump, yeah. I mean, that takes money, all right? Or those Trump boat rallies. I mean, when have you seen like a single like Bernie Sanders or like even Joe Biden like boat rally? I mean, let's be completely honest. Where was the closest thing you got to that was like a motorcycle rally in Philadelphia, but that wasn't even just for Joe Biden. That was just for like pushing left-wing policy, period, right? It was just more of a get out to vote thing. These people have money. These people are not poor. Lynn Wood, Sidney Powell, those lawyers, they are not poor. Sebastian Gorka, the people around Donald Trump, I mean, they're all billionaires at the end of the day. I mean, well, they're multimillionaires. They have a lot of cash. All right, they got cash in their bank. And Donald Trump even had a higher single individual donation average than Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, and I think most, if not all, of the Democrats running. The people who supported him had money. They're not poor. They're not suffering from economic anxiety. They're suffering from white identity anxiety. That's what it is. The power being taken from them. When equality comes, it looks like oppression, and that's all that's happening now. Oh yeah, and one of the saddest things is that even poor whites are the ones that get shafted at the end of the day. They really get shafted, right? Because someone like Donald Trump, who holds these like sort of like social ideas that they have, but don't translate into actual good policy for them. These people live in absolute squalor. Okay, the ways that these people are living, you would be shocked, right? To live like some of these people. It is so sad. They look like they haven't recovered from the Great Depression. All right, like the Roaring '20s. The Roaring '20s never came back for these people in 2020. All right, I'm sorry, that just didn't happen. And they get fooled. They get tricked into these by these richer people into thinking that, oh yeah, hey, listen, just vote for us. It's going to be great. And no policy actually comes down to help these people. Republicans don't help poor people in their states. They just make it harder for them to get more, for them to actually build wealth. They don't bring wealth in. They don't care about wealth. They care about the culture war. They care about wealth for themselves, but the people in their states, they couldn't give a shit less. So these people suffer. They're fooled. They're tricked into believing things like Obamacare is bad for you, even though most of these poor people are the only reason they have healthcare. The only reason they're not medically bankrupt right now is because of Obamacare. You tell them about it. I mean, Obamacare had the highest approval rating it ever did when Donald Trump, the Republicans, were trying to repeal it. Okay, when people really found out when you tell people about like some of the things that these Republicans do, they're like, "Whoa, wait, hang on now, really? That's what they're up to?" No, absolutely not. They're tricked into believing it, or they're tricked into believing that it doesn't matter as much as their white identity. At the end of the day, that doesn't matter as much as you being white. I mean, it worked for so long, right? I mean, imagine those poor whites right after the end of the Civil War, right? I mean, all these black people are coming in. They're going to ruin everything, you know? Pit the poor whites against the black people. And then, boy, look at what you got. The two massive swaths of the working class fighting each other instead of fighting the owning class. And that's exactly what they would always want. Keep that great divide. As the country moves on in the way of progress, in the way of progressivism, in the way of liberalism, hopefully not always just straight liberalism, we like to get a little further lefty in there. But as we do that, I personally expect us to get more violent outbursts from the right. Because as we get more diverse, they'll actually see that power being taken from them and given to people who actually who have a voice as well, who should have a voice as well, and they'll think it's more likely for them, it's more beneficial for them to start committing more acts of violence because they think the end of days are coming, even though nobody wants anything bad. Just people want like fucking healthcare and good schools and good roads and to be able to work and feed their family. That's all people want, and they can't have it. So personally, I expect more violence to come in the future. 18-year-olds, 18-year-olds and younger in the country already. Gen Z is the last majority white generation in America, period. You can say whatever you want about that, but that's just how it's going. When that happens, when that turns, right? When it drops, Gen Z plus drops, and it's going to be 54% non-white and whatever other fucking percent white. When that happens, I will very much expect the right to start going off the deep end, because actually Gen Alpha, yeah, absolutely, because they're gonna be like, it's over, guys. So they'll think they'll have nothing to lose, and they'll just start committing like acts of terror. I absolutely believe that. Because they'll just be like, oh, I mean, it's over. They've busted all these illegals, and now the country is gone. You only have your actions left, boys. And then they'll log off and go buy a gun at Walmart and go like do a shooting until they get killed by the police. Hey, I mean, it's really unfortunate, but until we get a grip on this like anxiety that these people have, then there's not much that really we can do besides just stay safe and protect yourself, guys. Honestly, dangerous out there.